Evening, everybody. My name is Bobbie Richardson. This is another Ascension Messages, and I am your guide for today. Last night, my spirit guides gave me such a powerful message. So it's going to be beyond a lot of people's minds, and then again, it might be confirming what you're already thinking, depending on what level of awareness you are. Take it with a grain of salt. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. It's not, there's no one's in a better situation or a worse situation. It's just the way it is. And yeah, it's also because I'm saying this because we all have different perceptions of the truth of creation and reality, and it's all relevant to the whole. So if it doesn't match what you feel is your creation within you, then turn it off. It doesn't matter. Keep your creation going if you feel, but if it does resonate, this could bring out more of your gifts, give you a better understanding, help you to change your reality. So they poured it through me. As it came through, I just wrote it out, and with complete awareness of what they were telling me. And the reason why there is complete awareness for me is because I've already experienced meeting Oneness back on the 28th of March 2020, just before all this change happened. And I actually did do a film clip on my experience, so I will put the link below to that film clip. And so I'm really coming from a point of view of oneness itself and creation and humanity, and where we're all going, and what's actually happening. So I'm going to read, I will read this out to you, and we'll take it from there. So I'll premiere this tonight so that you guys can type in the chat bar what you think, what you feel, and maybe I can give you a bit more insight to help type back some things as well. And yeah, this is not, I just really want to repeat, this is not to take away anything that you have learned about reality and your decisions on what reality is for you, because we all have our own journey and our own path. This is just to confirm those that are already going down the same path as what I am going down, and that helps those people come to more realization of how much power they really have. Yeah. Also, before I start, I am an intuitive counselor. I have intuitive counseling page up on my website. I'll put the links below. I'm a creator. I've created 2 books. Actually, I actually have them here for once. This is Jonah and Kitty, the Timekeeper's Void. And this one is all about what if Earth is connected to many other dimensions and other realities where animals can talk and different beings exist? What if everybody on Earth held the secrets to connect to those realities? The adventures of Jonah and Kitty are the start of this quest, and you, the reader of this book, is the true beginnings of a whole new world full of magic. So that is Jonah and Kitty, the Timekeeper's Void. And this one here is for little babies up, so 0 up. Imagine holding hands. This is a picture book. I've done I did everything but print this book, so all of the illustrations and the photography as well. and really just opening up our imagination and our intuition. Yeah, so sorry, trying to just quickly flip through some of those pages. There's 32 pages. And also I am the creator of these fortune dice as well. These are gifted to me through spirit. So we have the numerology dice, 0 to 9s, and then the new earth dice, bringing us into new awarenesses, and a book. I'm supposed to be doing a video on how to actually work these. That's one of the things that I've got to do. I've just been really busy with a lot of channel messages as well, so that is still coming for those that did purchase the dice. And thank you very much for all your purchases. It's helped me heaps. Okay, let's get into this channel message. I will speak this slowly because it's quite a long message, but it is also something that I think we need to integrate as well as I read it. So this was channeled through on the 29th of December 2021. We are all central characters of our own creational reality, as there is only one point of view that exists for you, and that is yours. It is the taking back the narrative of creating your story that brings about change. Now that humanity is waking up, they will eventually fall into one of two consciousnesses. The first is the choice of the path of enlightenment, or to wake up to self-awareness, to more self-awareness, taking the reins of their own reality and creating a path, their own path, or to choose to stay in the program ruled by a few for their own advantage. And there is no wrong or right in that, being that each experience was needed and wanted. Otherwise it would not exist anyway. As all stories were created from one perspective, that of self, it was always your choice. So how long do you want to keep going on in any story that you feel is horrific in your life? What are you learning and not accepting of yourself to keep you in this perpetual loop? It is within your ability to respond or give it no energy that shifts or doesn't shift the story, because your engagement automatically fuels the experience into existence. This is why many awakening turn off any unwanted programs or news, choosing to watch what they want in their reality. You could say you're spiritually aware, and yet you're still entangled in the fight, fueling the programmed reality that you're actually trying to deny. Now is the breaking down of one reality and the building of the next. But for one reality to fall with all the people within it trying so hard to keep it alive and progressional, they have to go through a deprogramming. This is where 2022 starts to get real interesting, because one cannot enter into the next unless they come to the realization that they are the central point or the creator of their own story, and everything in it is also their reflection as well. The story, of course, cannot become so unhinged that you, the central character, loses their minds and therefore sends the person or the central character into a state of grasping at another outside themselves to make sense of everything, becoming victim to their story, leaving them in a mental ward. but they do need to become empowered instead, at the same time as breaking the story down, so that one can also be empowered to create a new story. The falling away of people the central character knew within the story, or the ones trying to keep the central person within the confinements and limitations of the old program, would have to be an absolute until the central person can find a way of enlightening others, either through rewriting the program within their mind, thus bringing in or creating catalytic events of either enlightenment or destruction that drive many others to shifting their reality, or through the central person becoming famous or powerful enough to influence and make a difference to the rest of their reality. Either way, it is a rewiring of the story from the central character's mind that opens up the ability to shift the whole story. We are at a crucial point in the breaking down of one's reality, and it is only when we let go of the past and fall into the unknown, creating it as we go, that we will start to feel empowered again, because the recreation of another story isn't through controlling the old program or story, as that would only fuel the old story, but in trusting one has a link to something else coming from an observational perspective that can help guide the main character into something more in line with a better scenario. This is what I would interpret as the soul's connection. So what is the soul? The soul is the main character's true essence, the starting point of all creation. It is oneness, prime creator, and the energetic source that connects the main character to the story. Those that are still within the program reality of those few mega wealthy characters who kept you in disrespect of yourself and others using fear and doubt will still do anything in their story to keep their story alive. It doesn't matter if they are family or not, as the story they hold onto that keeps them feeling safe, and that is worth more to them than any family members. So if they can't turn you into at least pretending to support their story, they will turn on you through their own fear, as it is all choice in the end. And we each decide to evolve, either evolve out of the old program or still feel the need to defend and build the built up program that others created from fear. To raise above this is to learn that the mind program has no power over you anymore, and that you can shift any outside influences back to living in the moment. So you living in the moment actually shifts all mind programs and past influences. The program is something that is kept within the logical grounds of itself and cannot be operated from living in the moment, because it needs that past to grasp hold of and project into the future. But in the moment is the void. In the moment is where all exists and nothing exists at the same time. And this also keeps you in the eye of the storm. The old program was originally created and kept within the confinements of the logical mind to gift oneness, the soul, a place to play in. After oneness split itself in two parts of the same whole, which no longer recognized itself, giving reality friction to become aware of itself all over again. So oneness was love. Oneness split. Oneness didn't recognize the other part of itself, yet both were from love. And then that became the story of the stance of understanding something it couldn't understand until it accepted itself as coming from love, even though it didn't have an understanding of it. And so the 3D world was born as the original program made a reality outside itself. Therefore, oneness is both within and outside thyself, both intuition and logic, both soul and program. It is the whole experience. It isn't until you as oneness or prime creator recognize and accept all as your creation that you have the power through this understanding to take your responsibility back, find your magnificence, and return back to love, which is where all came from that acceptance of all being you, to make, and that is how you start making any changes. This is the point that all is coming up to now as we step into 0 point creation, with the old program is storming around us, trying to grasp a hold, but eventually being sucked down the proverbial drain as the essence of self-awareness returns to love again, giving birth to a whole new version of self. But until then, and right up until that point has been held long enough to make any real changes as the waves of awareness come and goes, even when one does find it. We all live within these confinements of the program being played out. Therefore, I can write this and I can explain it and I can understand it, but I can also slip back into the program, feel the need to go hang out my washing, feel the need to go tidy up the house, feel the need to go to work, feel the need to interact with my children and the program that's been played out. And it's not as if we all sit down and meditate to the point where we just die. No. It is more that we live in the program and accept all as part of our creation. And the parts that we dislike, we stop giving energy to. And the parts that we love, we give more energy to. That's going to make a big difference when people start doing that. And stop hooking into the fear-based program that's coming from another person's reality. Because they're going to keep on making this more and more and more fearful to try to hook you in to their program. It isn't until we literally stand up and say, you have no power over us, and walk away and start creating the story that we want. They have nothing. They will have nothing to fight against, because they literally need you to fight them to keep their story going. Yeah. I also wrote something else to humanity's consciousness. I'm wondering whether to bring that up now too. So I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions to ask after that. And if not, that's okay too. Humanity's consciousness is a collaboration of all stories that, in reference to the whole, is only one consciousness. Humanity's natural program works in harmony with each other, but when one enters the war zone, so do all enter that war zone. When one calls out for help, so do all. When one finds the key within to save themselves, so do all who are on the same wave of consciousness. Okay, therefore, when many decide to evolve while the others stay entrenched in the Cabal creation story, there will be a split that will happen where both may not even be in each other's reality even more. And this story could end up being that one side sees the death of the other, and the other side sees the death of the other. So the ones that are stepping out of the old program will see the ones that are in the old program die, and the ones that are in the old program will see the ones who are evolving out of it die. Or a story where one side sees the other side taken off by off-world beings. So that could be another story where the old program sees, like in the creational story of the Bible, I think it is, I'm not sure, but I have heard this story before on my path, where off-world beings come and take the ones that are awoken or are stepping outside of the old program. It's also in the Knowing, a movie called The Knowing. Or one could see the other die, but those of higher evolved frequencies really truly see themselves walking into another dimension, and have a path, and they can come and go through that path, bringing others through to the other dimension. The stories are actually endless, really, and aren't limited to me, the author's imagination, although I think you get the gist of all of this. To get a better understanding, though, I'll take you to what happened when the opposite happened and two worlds on Earth collided. When only a few tribal members existed as Indigenous people and were connected to nature on an island, all of those tribe members moved within the limitations of that consciousness, that humanity's consciousness. That's all their awareness was of each other's tribes. That was their world. So they all raised and fell through the dreamings as one, knowing when to move to the next land and who to trust within the tribe to lead them, as it wasn't just the leader of the tribe that held the power of that role, but also the trust within the people of that person to be the leader that kept him the leader. One was not separated from the other. You have to have both people trusting a leader and the leader being the leader. This is why the leadership is falling down now, because people aren't trusting. It's more of a control rather than a real guidance. It wasn't until the emergence of a completely different story that their consciousness or energetic wave merged with Europeans that came into the Indigenous' awareness. Thus, the wave or dreaming was affected, and they became more aware of each other. So as one fell out of the original program, so did the other. So it did depend on the energy that was bombarding Earth at that moment. And as Earth was being bombarded with the energy of the intuitive side falling, then that's what was going to win. That was what consciousness was going to gravitate towards. This will happen when humanity's consciousness expands into knowing of off-planet beings, and why those beings won't interact with us unless they feel humanity's consciousness can indeed handle theirs, for the story to expand into something better for both consciousness or stories. So any off-planet beings that do actually come into our awareness won't actually interact with us properly until they see that the energy is, number one, shifted. So we've already, I feel we've made a shift from the logical side of ourselves being only in charge and controlling everything, to the intuitive soul being connected. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to do these talks, and we wouldn't see the crumbling of the old program. And when other off-planet beings start to see that many of us are awakening, then they could come with their consciousness and their knowings and all of their frequencies. And when they merge with ours, we will accept each other's, and that will form something new. But they can't do that. They don't want to lose themselves into a program, the old program that that humanity's consciousness had been going down for all these eons of years. Yeah, so that might make a bit more sense. Okay, I wrote one more channeling. I didn't realize it was 3. Okay, so I wrote one more channeling. So how do we change the story? I know personally that it's through my imagination, but I also know the value of my logical self. For if I ignored a logic which keeps the story in momentum, with the past and present and future to be explored, then if this didn't exist, I might as well be dead, returning to a soul as a soul. So to shift the story while being alive, one needs to return to the present moment and learn to use the imagination again, starting with small changes, finding 5 or 10 cent pieces and saying that's what's going to happen in your reality, to eventually imagining more complex situations, like imagining yourself coming across a certain flower. I'm going to come across a certain wild flower, or I'm going to come across or be approached by a certain uncommon animal, or I'm going to go into a shop and I'm going to find exactly what I need for the price that I want. You know, you kind of make the situation a bit more complex. You imagine it and you let it go. Once this has been accomplished, you could branch into imagining what you truly desire. The trick with these desires is in letting go for something that doesn't make such an impact of your life that's easy to manifest, or to trust it will come into your reality, because you don't have any sort of attachment where it doesn't make too much difference to your reality, right? But for something that could make your life better, that is more difficult for your mind to completely let go and trust it will be. Mainly because of self-worth, and in the realization that within that manifestation comes another perspective, and it becomes responsibility. That you are indeed fully responsible for you not owning anything in the first place, and loathing yourself enough to stay small and within the context of your creation. So this is how we actually literally change our story, is we start to imagine a better one and then start to play out little bits at a time to see it coming in. We learn to live in the present moment so that when outside forces come at us, we don't accept them as our reality, because we are creators of our own reality, and we're not going to feel that with anything. That's easier said than done, and I know that, but it does work. Honestly, my life hasn't changed that much, even through this last 2 years, in the respect of what the old program's trying to be pushing on us. I live in Australia, I live in Queensland. We've just been given all these rules, but it actually hasn't affected me. I mean, I complied to a couple of small ones, but they didn't really affect my life much. You know, like, for instance, if I really necessarily needed to put on a mask, I did, and that's about all I did. Yeah, my story has been pretty much the same. I still work the same. I still earn the same. Actually, I earn more money. Life hasn't changed for me if I keep staying in the moment. But I don't listen to TV. I don't allow the program to infiltrate me. And I stop with all anxiety. So if I hear something on Facebook or something that says there's blah, blah, blah's happening, I just go, yeah, but it's not going to affect me. I can type up some stuff. I can write up things that help other people wake up, but I literally don't put any energy into it anymore. There was sometimes back when I did, and I did get sucked into the story and a bit of anxiousness. And then I saw the wave of it coming up, and I learned to let it go. And every time I learned to let it go, it's like the story shifted around me. I can't explain it anything more than that, but I really literally have not had much problems. I pushed the story recently when I put up my predictions for 2022, and the story pushed back and took my the old program pushed back and took my YouTube off. But I knew I was pushing the story, kind of thing. That taught me not to do that. It doesn't even matter in the big stream of things, because the most important thing is to learn to wake up and realize that we're creating our own reality, rather than fighting against the old story anyway. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. That's my channel messages for today, and we will see what's going to come next. Love you guys heaps. Bye.